Good morning. Good morning. It is Toni from the Fibrology Lab, and this is Coffee Chat with me. How's that? It is Tuesday, and December, what is it, the 13th? Holidays are just around the corner, and I'm trying to get everything organized. I mean, are you ready? Really? Are we ready? I don't think we're ever ready. I always feel ready like when the first of the New Year's comes in, then I feel ready. So come on in and say hi and maybe where you're from. That way I can acknowledge your time this morning. I really appreciate it. If you're watching on the replay, thank you for watching on the replay too. I do go back and check comments and try to respond to anything you might have questions of, which I would gladly answer. So typically what we've been doing on Quilt Basics over the last month and a half, I guess I've been doing this, is we're learning the quilting basics. So we're learning how to put together this top that I have designed for my Learn to Quilt class. I'm actually in the process of recording these videos over in a more direct manner using our PDFs that I have for each session. You can find those PDFs in our Mighty Network. If you go to friendsfibersfun.com, you can check them out there. They're free to download. You just got to join the group and go in there and get them. And then they're associated with one of these live videos I've been doing over the last couple months. And the goal for me is just to kind of polish up my Learn to Quilt class, and that way I can present it in a virtual format here into the new year. So that's my goal, and that's what I'm working on. So today we're going to talk about, we had just last session, we talked about how to mark our quilts. So our quilts should be marked. If they're not, don't stress about it. Again, I'm not expecting you to do a homework. It's just something to help encourage you to walk through this process with me. So today we're going to talk about basting and then batting. So we're going to talk about batting first because you kind of need that before you can baste. And depending on how long I talk, I might not talk about basting, but we're going to talk about it anyway. So part of the process with quilting is to put all three layers together. And you're thinking, well, what three layers? All I do is make a top. You're right. So you have one layer. Your first layer is your top. Middle layer is called batting. Some people call it stuffing. What's the other thing I saw called double gauze, double fleece, something like that. There's different terms for it. I call it batting, and I sell batting. So and then the third piece of our sandwich, our quilt sandwich, is going to be our backing. So we have backing, batting, and top, and we're going to layer them that way. And what we're going to do is we need to make sure our backing fabric and our batting fabric is on the average anywhere from 3 inches to 6 inches wider than our top all the way around, especially if you're just sending it to a long armor. So if you're sending this to be quilted to a long armor, which it's a 40-inch, I don't recommend it. It can be done. You want to make sure you give those long armors enough extra backing fabric, because in the process of quilting, the batting and the backing fabric draws in and shortens because it's pulling out, it's pulling down those stitches and supporting them. So just keep that in mind. You always need to have a bigger backing and batting before you can baste. So with this being such a small project, this will only be about 40 inches. Your backing and your batting should be about anywhere from 42 to 45 inches. We're not doing a lot of quilting. Remember, we did lines, and those lines are just straight lines, or we're making a hatch work design, keeping it simple. So knowing that, you don't need a lot of extra, and we're going to keep it simple that way. So get your backing and your batting prepared. Your top should be about 40 to 42 inches, measure it, and then add 2 inches to each side and cut your piece at 44 to 45 inches of backing and batting. The whole design of this was meant so you could use the width of your fabric. So you don't have to go and piece a backing right now. I'm not going to talk about that in this session. I can talk about it. I have talked about it in other sessions, that there's ways to put your backing together if you want to piece it, and the best way to do that. But because this is just a small project, you just need the width of fabric, and then I think about 1.25 yards for the length. So you got your backing. Let's talk about batting. Make sure everything's working. Okay, so the batting we carry in the Fibrology Lab is Quilter's Dream Batting. It is a American-based company. They make their product here in the States. They are based out of Virginia Beach, which is cool for me. I love this product. I have been using it for over 10 years. In let's talk about batting. Sometimes you don't want to, or you need the batting right away and you have to run to your local big box store. I would recommend you stick with warm and natural, and not use the other products out there because they tend to have other issues. But I'm going to go ones we carry regularly, and then ones you can special order from us. If you want to special order something from us, well, we have our policy's always been for the last 3 years, almost 4 years. Wow, 3 years is if you pay for it up front, you get 15% off. I will spend a special order. So if you need anything ever special order from me, you just ask and I will give you that 15% off, send you an invoice, and then I'll immediately to place the order as long as I can get it within 2 weeks. And I think we're at a point now in the supply chain that I can easily turn around and get that done. So I don't worry about it too much, except with fabric. So let's look at Quilter's Dream Batting. I love this book. I've got a couple of these. They also make a smaller one for me to hand out. They haven't made them in a while, so I need to see if they're starting to make them. And if you're interested, let me know and I can send you one, because this is the best way to figure out what will work for you, to have a tactile piece in front of you. But I wanted to show you the different lofts, because I talk about lofts with batting. Back in the day, I would say 70s and 80s, when we were quilting, we loved the puffy things. We loved the puffy quilting stuff. Well, that was all polyester, which is not, there's nothing wrong with polyester. I prefer natural fibers with natural fibers, but that doesn't mean you can't mix and match your fibers. You do what works best for you and what you have on hand. So that's what's important. So looking at our two number one products we carry is the Select and the Request. And if you look, I don't know, hopefully you can see the color. This has a light blue color and this has a pink. That's what the packaging is going to look like, which I thought was really ingenious. And then they have a choice of natural or white. So you can see the difference between the natural and the white in both of those. The white obviously is more expensive because they bleach out the cotton to make it white. And white is important sometimes if you have, especially a top. The first thing that came to mind was an Irish chain that has a lot of cream, maybe a lot of white space, where you don't necessarily want that creamy color coming through that white fabric. So this is our number one carry. We carry this. It's the thinnest loft, which is Request. And it's very popular. Like they're twins and our queens. This is what I carry a lot of. Now I do like Select for a queen size because it gives it a little heavier feeling. It's more dense, and it keeps you warmer. But I'm going to flip this up and talk about a little bit things underneath, because they have all the information on each of these underneath. So that's a perfect picture right there. Exceptionally soft drape. Oh, this is the Request. 100% cotton. Imparts a beautiful look. No scrim, resins, or binders. Yet strong enough to hold up to 8 inches apart. So when you look at any of your batting and you know what you're going to design your quilt to quilt, you want to keep in mind what kind of batting you're using. Like this one says, I can put a stitch line here and 8 inches apart, I can put another stitch line. And the stuff in the middle is not going to shift, not going to pull apart. And I can vouch for that because I've used this for so long and washed many things for so long. It does not fall apart. And that's why, another reason why I like this company. So they say here, no, serum, resins, or binders, no scrum, no gluey stuff holding this particular product together. So that's kind of nice. So it's a very thin. I don't know if I can show you the thickness between them. Oh yeah, you can see them kind of well. So it's very thin, but it's very dense. And when I was looking at this, the per square inch in the Request is using 3 ounces of cotton. I thought that was interesting. So go into your medicine cabinet, grab some cotton balls, put them on a scale, and let me know how many cotton balls makes 3 ounces. That's kind of an interesting thing. This one is 3 ounces. This is the Select. So this one said 4 ounces. I think it said on it. Yep, 4 ounces. 4 ounces. But see, you can see the thickness is a little different. See how the difference in I mean, I can see it. I'm hoping you guys can see that on the camera as well as I can. So these are our two main loft sizes we carry. Now they do have 2 others, and I like to compare them to, but they are not comparable. Warm and Natural is another product that I used to use all the time. The only thing I don't like about Warm and Natural is they actually have left it's not a clean combing of the cotton. So there's some brown specks in it. That's actually part of the cotton husk, but that's why I don't like it, because when you quilt with it, the needle hits those husks and it might jump the stitches and might not look even as you're working through it. So I compare these two lofts very similar to a Warm and Natural. They're very dense and they are thicker. So we have Deluxe and Supreme. So this is Deluxe and this is Supreme. Again, you can see, I'm trying to see how for you guys to see the thickness. See how this one is more dense than this one. It's thicker and it's just got more dense. And this one says it has half a pound of cotton per square yard. Excuse me, yard. So I said an inch, and it should have been a yard. Half a pound. So that's pretty dense. So maybe super warm. This would be perfect on a king size quilt. So it lays flat on your bed. So it's not going to slide off the bed because it's so big and there's no thing holding it down. So that's something to think about um, for quilting. Now there are a couple other choices. I just realized my thing says the wrong stuff. Let me change that real quick while I'm just yakking here. There we go. The other things they also offer is some blends, some different types of blends. I am very much I don't like change. I keep happy with what I've got, but some of these other products might be something that fits whatever your need is. So we have Dream 20 80 20, which means it's got 80% cotton and 20% polyester. And what that allows, and that's one of the things, if you guys remember, Christine, our long armor, mentioned that she likes that blend because it gives the batting more stability as she's quilting with it, and it's not stretching and going different directions. So there again, there's no resins, no scrums, no binders. Yet you can stitch 8 inches apart. No pre-washing. I don't think it said. Did I say on all of those? I never pre-wash, but you can pre-wash some of the batting if you want to. This one says no pre-washing. Maybe machined, washed and dried, available in natural, white, and dream pink. I have to do some research because I don't understand why they have dream pink. I think this has something to do where it's their charity of cause, and they like to donate back whatever they purchase whenever this is purchased. But it is a light pink. It's really kind of pretty, actually. And I just thought that was interesting that the 80/20 comes in those choices. Now, if they came in purple, that'd be really cool. That'd be really cool. Other blends they have a fusible. I'm going to order this because I just thought this was interesting. I haven't even looked at this card in like a year or two because I am a creature of habit. So I just buy what I need and put it out there. So Dream Fusible is a 20. Oops, where my camera focusing? It's trying to figure out what I want to show. There we go. Is another 80% cotton and 20% fine poly. Again, can be quilted 8 inches apart. You can tie, hand quilt, and machine quilt. Unique. Here's what's cool: unique fusible material that resin glue bumps or glue dots, keeping it soft, keeping it better for the environment. So, excellent for many projects such as quilts, embroidery, wall hangings, bags, placemats. I am going to order some of this. We're going to play with this. It's fusible. I can't feel it. So I don't know if you guys can see. There is no bumps on that on either side, and I don't know which side's fusible. So we're going to find this out. We're going to test that out. I'm going to order some. I have to place another order, so I'm going to order that too. Dream Blend. What's Dream Blend? So Dream Blend, this one down here, they put the things right on top so you can't even read them. Soft to, what does it say? Lug, yet soft to hug, yet I can't read it. Can't read it. So what is it? It's 70%. Oops, here we go. 70% natural cotton, 30% silky. It's a little bit of polyester in there. You can quilt up to 12 inches, which is interesting. Perfect for tied quilts, quilting, crafts, and projects. No pre-washing required. May be machine washed and dried. So that's the other thing with all of cotton dream cotton quilters dream batting is everything's washable. Even the wool. So a couple other things just to kind of show you what other things they offer. They also have a poly. Remember I told you those ones things from the 70s, you know, big puffy things. Like if you even did biscuit quilt, this would be perfect. If you don't want a biscuit quilt, just look it up. It's where there's the little pockets of the quilt's made of little pockets of batting. And they also have some flame retardant batting. So again, perfect for those children quilts. But here's a contradiction. This fabric, this is flame retardant, but if you're using cotton fabric from me, it is not. So just keep that mindset in mind. Make sure you look for what you need to make this a viable purpose. And then we have some bamboo, cotton and bamboo, and then wool. Now I love their wool. It is not super puffy like the poly. It is nice and I won't say thin, but it has a great drape. It does create a little bit more texture when you're quilting, and it's washable. And the other thing is that you need to know you think you have to quilt every 6 inches on this one. Oh, it says 8 inches. Wow. I did not know that. So it's 8 inches as well, but it's a perfect quilt to go with flannel, or it's perfect batting to go with flannels, especially if you do a flannel quilt. Oh, it'd be so soft and wonderful. So that's just an overview of what we have and what we carry and what we can order. So if there's something in there that I mentioned that you're interested, and I would totally get that taken care of for you. So now we kind of have an idea of our backings cut, and our batting is going to be cut to that size as well. We're going to talk just a few minutes about basting. There are 3 different ways to baste. You can baste with thread, you can baste with spray glue, or you can baste with safety pins. So let's talk a little bit about them. Thread basting is basically taking what they call a darning needle, a really long needle, running some thread in it and running it every inch into a grid across your quilt. It's perfect for hand quilting. So if you want to hand quilt and want to learn how to do that, that is the technique you're going to do for basting. We're not hand quilting. We want this done. Again, my goal is to make you successful. So the next step is using some spray basting, quilt basting spray. Make sure it says quilt basting, and make sure it says temporary. Like I do love 505. I use it for many other projects as well. This one just happens to be what I had in hand to show you, but it does say temporary. You don't want a permanent one in your quilt, because you wash it that first time. If you haven't washed your fabric, it's going to shrink and really make it super crinkly, and then it's going to be stuck in the quilt forever. It's not going to shift and move. Now, if you want it for a table runner, that's a totally different story. But for something that you're going to use, wrap around, or give it to a baby, you definitely want a temporary basting spray. And the only thing with basting spray is, the way I look at it, it's flying glue. That's all I have to say. Just imagine flying glue is going in the air when you're using this. So make sure you're in a ventilated area. I encourage you, make sure it's outside, away from your walls, away from the house. Just make sure it's not in a enclosed area. I personally do not like flying glue. I do not use this for basting. I do the old-fashioned way. Well, there's lots of old-fashioned ways. By hand, by thread is old-fashioned too. But I use safety pins. And I would encourage you to try them out for this project. Now, if you are going to use the spray basting, I might have to do an extra little segment of how to lay that out and baste it in layers, because you're going to do your backing first, spray it, gently pull out your batting and roll it out, put it out, spray that, and then put your top on. With the pins, all you do is layer everything. You do want to lay it on the backing fabric. You do want to secure on something so it doesn't shift and move, so you don't get crinkles and pin in wrinkles in the back of your back of your quilt. So I might have to actually go through that process. I think I need to do that. I'm going to do another session then. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a basting session. So mainly today was about batting. As I talk it out, and I thought, oh, I just talk about it. I'm like, no, you need to see this. The whole purpose of this is to kind of teach you how to prepare your quilt. So I will do a video on just how to baste your quilt, or this small quilt here. So I don't know if my system is working today, because I have had nobody on. So I'm not offended because it is the holidays and I know that other people are doing stuff. So if you are watching the replay, just give me a shout out that this is working and that you got to see it. So what I'll do is I'll come back in our next session. I'm going to actually talk about basting. So today we just talked about batting, and I'll put a PDF up in the Mighty Networks group under coffee chat shortly. As we are getting closer to the holidays, I need a day in between to break and do some other things for myself and here around the house. So I'm not going to do a sessions on Wednesdays for the rest of the year. I'll just be back on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the next couple of weeks to kind of talk about the rest of this quilting process because we will finish this up before the end of the year. And next year, we're going to learn some new techniques as we go through it. So, whew, I think that was a lot of information. I think I talked too fast. Yay for caffeine this morning. So thank you so much for joining. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out in the Mighty Networks group or email me info@fiberologylab.com. You guys have a great Tuesday. I will be back at 3 p.m. Eastern in Comments Sold on Facebook, Instagram, website, everywhere, talking about kits today and some great things you can do to kind of kick off your new year. So you guys have a great morning, and we'll see you later. And remember, we're friends, fibers, and fun.